to measure the colony forming units, you need to dilute your sample to a point where you will have individual colonies growing on your nutrient agar plate. To do that, we employ serial dilution, where we have a series of 9 mils of phosphate buffered saline, PBS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label them. This one I'm going to label 1, and I'm going to subsequently label them down. So this one will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I will transfer 1 mil from my meat sample to my test tube number 1. I will then mix it and then transfer from my test tube 1 to transfer to test tube number 2, and do subsequent dilutions down to 7. So I have several serial dilutions. So to show you how I'll do this, first I will turn the flame to a blue sterile flame. I will also vortex my sample to make sure it's well mixed. Flame the neck of my sample and also flame the neck of my test tube. I will draw up 1 mil of my sample and place it into my tube and discard the tip. I'll then vortex this lightly to mix, making sure I do not vortex too much to allow the liquid to leave the test tube. And then I'll transfer 1 mil of my tube number 1 to tube number 2 to make my next serial dilution. So to do so, I flame the neck, draw 1 mil, pick up my second tube, dispense my liquid into my second tube, dispense the tip, flame the neck, and mix again. So this I'll continue to do through my seven dilutions until I have 7 serial dilutions. Once I get to the final test tube, which I've diluted, you want to plate the 5th, 6th and 7th dilution. So, and you want to do this on a nutrient agar plate such as this one. It's important for you to label this plate around the edge of the plate where you can see where it's already written NA, so it's around the corners. I suggest you name it with your group number, the dilution that you're using, and the sample that you're taking, the time or the sample number which you're taking, possibly also the fermenter that you're using. To dispense the liquid on here, you want to use the 50 to 250 microliter pipette tips, the yellow one, sorry, and you also use the yellow pipette. This will dispense 100 microliters, and to do so, you take your appropriate dilution, you flame the neck, and you draw 100 microliters. To put it onto the plate, you want to lift the plate and you want to apply the liquid onto the agar without stabbing the agar or pressing into it. So you create a pool like this. After you dispensed your tip, you now are safe to put it down in the vicinity of the Bunsen burner, and you can now spread it. To spread it, you want to use one of these plastic disposable spreaders like this, which you can see has a flat end, not too dissimilar from a hockey stick. This end you'll be using with your hands, and therefore you want to open it from that side in sterile conditions. So making sure you don't touch the end with your own hands, you can take it out pick up your plate and you can spread like so. Once you have spread it, you can discard your spreader into the vehicle and close the lid. You want to keep the plate this way round for approximately a minute for it to dry, after which you can turn it over.